ora nukan anyila ti amo kombungol yanku pour mbeje ngare pikiri to coronavirus fanku chengi won konem national identity card wonno pour mu jonga ama pikiri to coronavirus kantu mati wonno yisen kayit kasi kayisen mati aw anyina ti mofam mu ngoldu baj ama kayit pikiri to coronavirus corona idare anasana jogoro nanu baji ama simitari nga unyen disiga ba pour ngoldu pour mu jonga pikiri to coronavirus bodo kantu mati wu kantu ja anyina ti mofam mati ama esuka yi dangam bila tungol nga pikire to coronavirus coronavirus mutabala le patio mutinya yo kangare pengo
Chairman of the Citizens Alliance. Good morning, viewers. Wherever you may be watching us from, we say in a very warm good morning. Welcome back to another press conference, a very important press conference where we have two important agenda items to speak to you or update you in regards to the High Court judgment we just obtained within the course of this past week, and also the way forward for the party, for Citizens Alliance, in regards to this judgment and going forward. It is really important as a party. We believe that we're founded under the ideals of democracy, transparency, civil liberty, and we believe in engaging the citizenry, our membership, to better inform them of CA's activities. And this is one of the most important, if I may say, because you all know the challenges we've been encountering from our nomination to date. And as citizens who really believe and who are advocates of processes and procedures, we felt our rights were curtailed, and there is no better place to go to but to go to the courts to seek redress. And we did just that. And of course, we went there with a strong belief that we have a very independent judiciary system. And of course, they've really attested to that fact. And a judgment was really delivered, of course, in our favor, and we are happy that that has happened. And we are happy that CA tested the waters, even though a lot of people felt it was not necessary, but we believe in ourselves and we did it. And of course, the outcome just demonstrated that that is the right thing to do. So I will not delve much into details of why we're here, but allow our party leader, presidential candidate, Dr. Ismaila Cisse, to get into details of today's engagement with you, the media, to better inform the citizenry. So thank you very much. Stay tuned, because there are a lot of details that really you all need to know, and we will bring it to you. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nene Frida Gomez. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, personnel from the media fraternity. We welcome you to yet another press conference. As usual, whenever we call on the media to come and talk to Gambians through you, you are always here to cover our press conference. So we thank all the media houses here today, those that are covering the event live, but also those that are here to cover it and might play it on their platforms later on. We thank you very much. We also extend greetings to every Gambian out there, both in the diaspora and in the Gambia, and also to all party members, also both in the diaspora and in the Gambia and all the regions of the country. Good morning to you all. As you may recall, on the 6th of November 2021, the IEC had a press conference at Election House announcing the candidates that went for nomination, whose nominations were rejected. Unfortunately, Citizens Alliance was one of the political parties whose nomination was rejected. IEC citing that we failed to meet one of the requirements of submitting at least 200,000 signatures or nominees from the Banjul administrative area. And because of that, our nomination was rejected, and our aspiration to run for president was disqualified. In accordance with the law, with the Electoral Act, we had 48 hours to appeal the IEC decision. But before appealing the decision, we spoke with our members, our supporters, our militants to stay calm so that we can follow due process. Because this country is a country of laws. So therefore, whatever we do, we follow the law. Fortunately, our militants really accepted our advice and they stayed calm while we followed the due process. We appealed within 24 hours, and the following day, we got a letter from the IEC that our appeal was rejected and that decision stands, that they will disqualify Citizens Alliance and their presidential candidate because we failed to meet the requirements for Banjul. We knew that even though there's a clause in the Electoral Act which says that IEC's decision is final, we knew that law is a bad law. It was a decree from 1996, and therefore, in this case, our rights were violated, our fundamental rights, as enshrined in Section 26 of the Constitution, was violated. We sought redress at the courts. So we filed the case at the courts to hear the matter and make a judgment. The court had the matter. It took 1 week precisely because it's a matter of public interest and it's a matter of elections. There was no time. We thank the judiciary for expediting the case and made sure that the judgment was delivered within 7 days. On Tuesday, the 23rd of November, judgment was delivered at the High Court that the IEC acted beyond their powers and they violated their own laws, which is the Electoral Act, because why? They failed to follow due process in determining our nomination and the subsequent rejection. The law is very clear. Section 47.3 makes it clear that where a candidate files a nomination and the nomination is incomplete or there's a defect, the IEC shall, before the close of nomination, notify that candidate so they may remedy or cure any defect therein before nomination closes. But IEC failed to do that. In fact, the procedure in which they were supposed to inform us of our rejection was not done in accordance with the law. They are supposed to fill what they call Form 3 and give us duplicates. Before nomination closes, they failed to do that. We heard about our rejection like everybody else at the press conference. Because of this issue of law, the High Court made a ruling that IEC acted in a manner which is not in line with their own very law, that they violated their law and they failed to follow due process. So the court made a ruling that the IEC should allow Citizens Alliance to submit fresh nomination papers for the Banjul administrative area. Then they should allow us to run for president in December 4th. So this is the ruling of the court, that we should submit fresh papers. We did that yesterday at 11:40. We submitted 331 signatures from Banjul. But remember that according to IEC, as seen in the court papers served to us, of the 296 signatures we submitted previously, only 115 were valid. The rest, they said, we lost to duplications. That is, one person cannot nominate two candidates. The candidate that submits first becomes valid. So because we submitted after many candidates, and that was IAC's decision because they made the timetable, so we had 115 valid signatures with IAC. Yesterday, we submitted 331. It means IAC should have enough signatures from us to make sure that we meet the requirement of the 200. So yesterday, in accordance with the court ruling that we be given the chance to submit fresh nominations, we did that yesterday and submitted 331 at 11:40 at Election House. However, we are privy to very credible information that the IEC wants to spitefully exclude us, exclude my candidacy from the December 4th presidential elections. This is very credible information. They've made up their mind. They're determined. And we'll give you reasons why. That they want to exclude us from the December 4th elections, which one is in violation of our fundamental rights, but also in contempt of court order. We heard yesterday that they had appealed the court ruling, but that appeal does not stop the court order until there's a stay of execution from the same court. Once that stay of execution is not served to us, therefore IEC must go ahead and consider our application and process our application as soon as possible to allow us to run for the December 4th presidential elections. Again, we have very credible information that they are now planning to also reject the papers we've served them yesterday on non-legal grounds. The only reason they can reject nomination papers is on legal grounds. We also have credible information that they are planning to reject our nomination papers. We served them yesterday on non-legal grounds. Now, IEC's blatant violation of the Election Act should be a cause of concern for everyone. IEC failed to follow their own laws, that is Decree 78 or the Election Act, by not complying with Section 47.3 and Section 47.1 of the Electoral Act. By doing so, they fail to comply with their own law. IEC are vehemently bent on depriving us, or myself, of my constitutional right to run for office on December 4th. We went to the courts, and the courts made a ruling that the whole world heard about, that IEC acted outside the framework of the law and they should allow us to run for office. They are now bent on frustrating the judgment by filing an appeal only to delay and stall my opportunity to contest for the December 4th elections. IEC is showing bad faith in this case. They are acting in a discriminatory manner and they are excluding, or they're using exclusionary tactics, and we have very little faith and trust in their ability to conduct a free and fair elections. Let me repeat this because this is very important. That IEC is acting in bad faith. Let me repeat. IEC is acting in bad faith. They are discriminatory and they are exclusionary. Elections are supposed to be about inclusion and not exclusion. And we have very little faith and trust in the IEC's ability to conduct a free and fair elections. We are aware that the IEC lacks the capacity and the competence and are ill-prepared for the logistical nightmare of handling this many candidates in this year's presidential elections. This is not our fault, and so we should not be punished for this. We think it is unfair to arbitrarily prey on myself and Honorable Maifati and other candidates. Therefore, We call on civil society. We call on the international community. We call on observers who are here to observe the elections, both international and local observers. And we call on all citizens to be vigilant as the IEC is unfit for purpose. We are going into a very high stakes elections this year. We love our country and we will jealously guard its peace and stability. But IEC's actions have the potential to derail our elections and undermine the peace and stability of this country if their spitefulness is not restrained. An important election like this, IEC cannot act like we are in a dictatorship. One man runs the institution as we speak, and that is Sambo Jangjai. He decides what happens. He decides who will run and who will not run. An institution like IEC cannot be run by one man like it's a dictatorship. The chairman of the IEC is weak. He's not in charge of that institution. It is Sambo Jangjai who controls. And we are privy to credible information. The stakeholders had asked them to allow and follow due process. And in fact, they'll give extra support to make sure due process is followed. But Sambo Jang is saying no. And he must ensure that Citizens Alliance is not on the ballot box. This is spitefulness. This is vindictiveness. And we will not accept it. Sambo Jang needs to be restrained, or he will single-handedly jeopardize the peace of this country. In fact, and I say this with confidence, and I'm going to repeat this, I want everybody to listen to this. We have credible information and evidence that Sambo Jangjai has leanings to a particular political party in this country. And we are going to reveal that evidence when the time comes. We are doing this for country because we love our country. We don't want the country to burn. That is why we are doing this. That Sambo Jangjai has leanings to a particular political party that he is conspiring with the 2021 presidential elections. And we have evidence for that. Now, as an independent institution established by the Constitution, we expect the IEC to operate within the framework of the law, within the spirit and substance of the law. It should be guided by the principles of fairness, equity, and transparency. Unfortunately, that is not the situation. We are informing the IEC that we are going ahead. We've done what the courts have told us to do. Therefore, we are going ahead to start our political campaigning on Sunday, and nobody can stop us. We are starting our campaigning on Sunday, and we are going to contest these elections, and Sambo Jang and IEC cannot stop us. We are more resolved now than ever before. We've been patient for far too long, and they've pushed us to the wall. We've been restraining our militants and our supporters for far too long, and they are also getting fed up. Therefore, IEC must be restrained, or we cannot be restrained any further. We are going for elections. We are going to start our campaigning on Sunday, and let us inform everybody of that status quo. And Sambo Jang or IEC cannot stop us. This is the situation as it is. Everybody knows that IEC is bent on ensuring that we don't contest because they've already made a determination. And in a meeting recently held by IEC and stakeholders, IEC or Sambo Jang's main argument is that they've already printed the papers, they've printed the ballot boxes. They cannot come back and print new paper. That is not our fault. He must follow due process. IEC must follow due process. So let everybody be informed this is the situation. We are ready to go and start our campaigning on Sunday, and we are going into these elections, and we'll see who is going to stop us. Thank you.
That frank submission. Viewers, this is a press conference organized by the Citizens Alliance, just to engage with you and tell you the state of affairs of the party. We've obtained a judgment. We followed due process. We believed in the judicial system. We sought redress, and a judgment has been obtained. We believe that nobody is above the law. The IEC as an institution is not above the law. And Sambu Nyai as an individual is not above the law. And Sambuya needs to realize that and understands that a court judgment needs to be respected and not flaunted. We will continue to believe in the judicial system. The court has ruled. We know what we need to do. We know when we need to do it. And nothing, like Dr. said, can stop us from doing what we need to do because we followed due process. I will, at this point in time, like to thank the judiciary under the leadership of Mr. Jallo and all the judges, everybody that took part in this process to ensure that democracy is respected, democracy is promoted, and the rule of law prevails. This was a class act judgment done in a very short time, a week, because they also are aware that this is a public interest case, that they put everything possible to make sure it's determined, to ensure that our rights are really not curtailed, like the IEC are bent on doing. It's a country of law, and the law will always prevail. At this point in time, I just want to say also that, you know, IEC tried to break the idea, and they could not. To break the message, they could not. Now they're going after the individual. And I bet you they will fail once again, because we are Citizens Alliance and we have standing. We believe in something. We believe in ourselves and the people and the Gambia and the potential of the Gambians. And we will just do just that. At this point, I will invite you, the media, to ask questions based on the submissions that Doctor has made in regards to our challenges, our setbacks, and the way for where we are right now. And we'll be happy to answer it in any language, either English, Mandinka, Wolof, and we can answer it. Go ahead.
The first one is, Doctor, I would want you to tell us, the public, through the media, how you verified the allegation that IEC is bending on denying you to run for presidency. You've mentioned that you had obtained credible information. I wanted you to specifically tell us, how did you verify the information you obtained to arrive to the conclusion that IEC bent on denying you to run for presidency?
Thank you, Keba. You know you are a journalist, isn't it? Do you reveal your sources?
But I verify my source.
Yeah, that is why we are speaking here. We cannot come and sit here and make frivolous claims. We verified our information strictly. We are not, we know, we are very serious about politics, about this country. Therefore, we've also been doing our investigations because we know what's happening. Gambia belongs to every one of us. This information is credible. It is verified that IEC is spitefully determined to stop Citizens Alliance from running these elections, and we have evidence.
Yeah, again, in order not to amplify allegations unsubstantiated, would you please give us a little bit scenarios that could be connected to understand that IEC is discriminating against the Citizen Alliance or the candidate for the Citizen Alliance? Because you mentioned that.
But look at what happened. We submitted our nomination forms on Tuesday, the 2nd of November. The law is very clear that if a candidate's nomination is incomplete, you notify them using a particular form and give them the chance to resubmit. They never did that. That is why it started. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they follow their own law? And the court vindicated us that they failed to follow their own law in dealing with our case. That's what is even much worse than that. You see the law. The law says that notify them and give them an opportunity. You refuse to do that. And we appealed. When we appealed, we brought to their attention the section where they violated. It is when later, after that, they want to serve us with their letter. that were they were supposed to do initially. They never did that. And we met them at the office, at the IEC. When we sent the appeal, they called us to the IEC. You know what they were telling us? We don't have time. You can go to the courts if you want. In fact, we are very busy right now. And they were being arrogant. They don't own that institution. That institution is owned by the government people, by the taxpayers. When they are working for us. So those are some of the examples. And now there's a court order. You don't want to follow the court order. The court ruling was on law. And you are saying you want to appeal. Just all this for delay tactics. What is more blatant than this? Keba. That's the situation.
Now that you've explored
The courts, we respect the process. That is why we went to the courts. If there's a stay of execution, that's why I said non-legal. If they want to stop us from running, the rejection is on legal matters. We will accept it. The country is a country of laws. If there's a stay of execution and we are served, we will not go ahead. We'll follow the court's ruling. But there is no stay of execution, and there is no legal evidence to show from the IEC why they should reject our fresh nomination papers. It doesn't exist. So that is why we're not going to follow what they're going to do. We are going for elections. We are going first to campaign.
Go ahead.
boole wuñu si ko dañ ñu ko yaaxal dañ jalgati suñ ak suñu yelleef ñëpp xam nañ ko loolu moo tax sax moo waral kaa bi si code bi ñun buñ demee si code bi loolu lañ fa doon wérante foofu noonu ne dañ jalgati suñ ak suñu yelleef parce que nuñ war a doxale wuñ noonu liñ si gën a ñaawlu mooy léegi yeneen candidat buñ nekkee di campagne ñun si code room bi di xeex li nga xam ne mooy suñ boss léegi am nañ ko ñu leen garaawul ñaaka nañ ñaari semaine si campagne bi semaine bu des nii ñu mun koo campagne ba léegi ñu ngi tii rek ñu ne ñun duñ mën a dem loolu moo tax ñun duñ leen faale ñun dimanche bii nii su neexee yàlla suñ ko fekkee incha allah ñu ngi start suñ campagne suñ nit ñi nag bu lii xewee maa ngi leen a ne dal leen teyi leen waaye fu mu nekk ni mun ma si ñoom dara ñoom ñu ngi pare pour campagne pour génn si pour campagne bu baax a baax a baax na ko ñëpp xamee noonu. moom mooy ki nga xam ne moo nekk di la yaxa kuréel bi nga xam ne mooy IEC ñëpp a ko moom mooy li nga xam ne dañ ko dénka pour muy seetu mbiri tànn keneen mun faa nekk di dogal di foog ne moo ko moom te ñun am nañ information yoo xam ne lii yëpp moo nekk si gannaaw moo dee bañ ne lii du am te loolu mënuñ ko nangu kenn nit mun ta yaa suñ ak suñu yël ñun loi bi la ñoo toppa dem nañ si loi bi wax na des ci ñoom pour léegi ñu dogal suñ dogalut nag ñu nañ leen dogalal.
am ngeen ay evidence yu bëri waaye ñu ne those evidence pour que fekk ñu bari am ko mën a bindee wala beneen tox comme tox moo nekk dimanche fan laa doore si campagne bi boo si agent yi ñu ay dañ doon do si
evidence bi is very clear du ma jox la evidence na ñu ngi try pour yaa suñ campagne bi mu ngi clair ñu ngi appeal pour waste time ñu ngi toppuñ loi bi duñ ko war a toppee depuis si commencement bi lépp mu ngi lees jaru ma jox leen fu mu nekk journaliste yéen a war dem liggéey nag yéen a war dem xool lan la AIC doon def depuis commencement bi léegi.
am na loo xam ne ñu ko am si biir AIC ñu ko def. waaw loolu bëgg a xam mooy lan.
moom la ma la wax ne buñ fa demee ñooñu oo ñu dem foofu noonu gis na nu ñoo doxalee te liñ gis AIC nu ñoo doxalee buñ fa demee xam nga lii dafa tax ba ñun ñu gën a xam AIC nit ki doo ko xam ba nga commencé di jëflante ak moom dañ ko ba dee jëflante ak AIC si diir yu gàtta yi nii ñu gis lu nekk biir AIC bés bu nekk ñu ngi fa amuñ capacité amuñ compétence lu leen neex la ñoo def kenn di moo dogal foofu noonu parce que da nga ko dee gis buñ fa demee ñun duñu ay xale gis ne yow mos ngaa gis ki nga xam ne kuréel bu mel ni AIC am la lawyer sa biir AIC yéen ne yéen a dee téye loi lu bukki loi di ko nañ ko interpréter seen boppa ñun buñ fa dem sax dañ dem ak suñ lawyer pour ñu xam luy xew yéen a ngi ñëw si meeting ba même po issue leen lawyer ngeen a jàpp passante bu loi bi fii la section bi wax yéen doo leen avocat so ñun gis nañ fa dugga nañ gis nañ ne AIC bii mënuñoo doxalin boo xam ne mooy ta élection mu jàddu si yoon loolu la ñoo wax.
ñun bëgg nañu laaj Sambou kon bëgg nañu xam yow lan nga ak Sambou su demee ñu na xam dina docteur mu ne nii ak bii
boo ko ne man ma ne moo nekk di yaaxa IEC nu moo doxalee du dëgg du yoon te waaye loo bëgg ma wax la nag wax naa la ne ma ne nu ñoo doxalee biir IEC mooy dogal moo lu ko ne la moo def foofu noonu parce que ba mënum am nga yéene mënuñ koo wax parce que ñun tamit am nañu ñu de du ñoo information yow journaliste nga doo de reveal sa sources lu ñoo wax mooy ne xam nañ luy dox biir IEC dem nañ fa dugg nañ fa gis nañ moom Sambou Jang si boppam buñ fa demee bu mu ñu ooy lu mu ñu doon wax man aw ma seen time su la nee ngeen dem court IEC yóbbu nañu court 7 times at bii nii nit na wax loolu yéen ngaa ngi légal kuréel li nga wax loolu so ñun óoluñ IEC ne nañ mën a doxalin boo xam ne mooy tax ba ñam élection boo xam ne mooy jaar si yoon.
last question dimanche soo génne IEC boole la si ñu war a def campagne est-ce que nekk loolu
yaaxuñ benn loi lañ yaaxut parce que joxoon nañ IEC suñ itinéraire ba pare buñ doon submit ñu ngi amee suñ itinéraire dimanche dinañ gën a campagne IEC ñoo nekk di yaaxa loi parce que code bi dafa make ruling ne nañ ñu bàyyi ñu commencé ñu bokk si élection yi ñu ngi bugg a bañ yaaxuñ benn loi te dimanche nañ gën a pour campagne non loolu nañ ñoo ak information boobu leer waaye dimanche daan nañ campagne. No, I cannot tell you that, unfortunately. But we know the conspiracies. We know everything that's happening. When we enter politics, we know what's happening. We also did our investigations, and we are still investigating. Not yet. That's for legal costs. We are yet to send an invoice to IEC to pay that money. We'll claim it very soon. All right, thank you very much. Nene, it's your press conference.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. In the absence of any other questions, I just want to say thank you to you, the media here present, our partners, our wonderful partners. Suñu gaañi samay ay nit daal man ak yéen ak man di wax ñi ñuy seetaan jërëjëf si toppa yi ngeen ñuy topp saa yu nekk buñ ootee ngeen bàyyi seen time pour ñëw déglu pour dégg li ñuy wax te yaakaar naa ne liñ day wax yëpp nekk na loo xam ne dafay indi yokkute si askan bi dafay indi yokkute si Gambian gi ñun nag Citizens Alliance am nañ gum-gum am nañ yaakaar ne li war a am dina am te dina am ci anam bi mu war a amee ñi dogal nag ñi nga xam ne ñooñu la yàlla teg pour ñu dogal mbir mi ñoo nekk ñoo xam ne seeni mbir dafa xaw a xejem tollu nañ ci time boo xam ne ñu ci bari ñu ngi focus seen jubluwaay yëpp ci liñ bëgg war a defaral loolu su dee ne jubuñ foog mu ne di ngeen egga so ñu ngi wax nit ñi ñu bàyyi xel ci lii buñ xaar ba élection passé ku nekk di yuxu ne lii amut lii am na lii amut yàlla def na ne ndogal bi ñun la ko teg pour ñu jànkuwante jafe-jafe yi nii pour mun a xam xejem bi nekk biir IEC ak ñana nekk di xejamal waaye ñu ci bari nekkuñ nag di ci bàyyi xel ñu ngi leen di ñaax pour ñu bàyyi ci xel liñ war a def ñu def ko ki ci war a wax nga wax ko waxuñ kenn nag ñu xeex suñ xeex parce que ñun mun nañoo xeexal suñ boppa xam nañ naka lañ koo xeexee xam nañ fuñ koo xeexee te loolu lañ nekk di def waaye ñu ngee oo nit ñi di leen pour ñu bàyyi xel ci lii parce que yàqu-yàqu dina am te balaa ñoo toog di ne ñu ngee jooy loolu dafa fekk passé na ñun nag def nañ ko right time bi soo des na ci ñoom it ñu def li ñu war a def kon nag di leen wax jërëjëf ba beneen yoon bu jamono waralee ñu dajewaat dinañ daje thank you very much and you all have a blessed Friday thank you.
mbokk yi si Gambian Talents TV niki ñu ko doon defee ci tool bi ba tey muy PDOIS presidential
ni laftaka kodo mutaka bonang UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland ani nyimpankuto mal mu meto. Supersonics le itadulate. anada dima sanji jama Gambia banko kam ise kodo tanole ibe dawo da birin katon fokoina andum batatiji hade batatiji isa kodo tanole ka bonam bantala bankol to birin UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland anin banku tumal mu beto na doku sone yata atariyata akoita andum allan na yata Gambia banko kan Supersonics le dinkiral siyata katambinin tumal mu meti Supersonics be banku tan sabani nani le to fota findu bankol to dung ila Google Play Store to wala ila Apple App sign ye Supersonics la money transfer app o download pour que ifa munafang na service la